Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if this is your first time here, make sure you go down, you subscribe, and also head on over to community.williehow.com. Sign up for our community. We can talk about all the things you see in the videos here. And what are we talking about in this video? We are talking about Wi-Fi 6E. And we're actually going to talk about this Grandstream GWN7665, which is Grandstream's first Wi-Fi 6E AP. So we've talked about Wi-Fi 6 in the past. Now we're talking about 6E, which actually has that 6 gigahertz spectrum. So what do you get in the box? Well, first of all, you get the box. And I like how all these vendors are going towards minimal boxes, minimal stuff we have to throw away. So, of course, you get the Wi-Fi 6E AP. You get some screws, anchors. You get a book that's got your quick start guide. It's got your installation information. And then you get all of the mounting plates that you might need, right? So it doesn't come with a lot of jazz that you don't need. So let's take a look at the AP itself. So it's the same platform that the other Grandstream APs are. They've got this cool flying saucer looking shape to them. You've got your 3 LEDs around the inside. On the back, of course, you've got all of your slots for your mounting plates. I'm not going to take this apart. Here on the sticker here, it's got our MAC address, serial number, default password. And then down here, we have a 2.5 gig port and a 1 gig port. So, you know, there's a total wire speed of 3.5 gig, but you cannot aggregate those. So you're probably going to use the 2.5 if you're like me. And then also over here, you have a reset button. So this is a 2x2x2 MUMIMO access point. And the real question is, how does it perform? Now we're going to do some testing here in just a second with a single client. We're going to use a phone that has Wi-Fi 6E. We're going to do some download speeds. I'm going to do them through a wall. This AP is going to be plugged into a 2.5 gig switch. We'll do a 5 gigahertz test. We'll do a 6 gigahertz test. We'll do a 2.4 test. And we'll get logged into it here shortly. And you're going to want to make sure that when you get these devices that you update to the latest firmware. And I'll show you, Grandstream has changed the way the firmware update works a little bit. So we'll talk about that too. So stay tuned. I'm going to get this thing plugged in and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Real quick, let's talk about the way that Grandstream has changed the way that you update the firmware. So if we come into the access point and we go to maintenance, under firmware server, we used to be able to just specify firmware.grandstream.com. Well, what has happened is as the devices gain popularity, more people are installing them. People were just dropping firmware.grandstream.com in there. They're throwing the automatic upgrade option on, really not paying attention to what's going on. So now network devices are updating and rebooting willy-nilly, so to speak. So Grandstream has changed it. So you can't just drop firmware.grandstream.com. You have to have an entire path, right? So if we take a look at the APs, and this is the 7665, the firmware version 1.0.25.6, which is what we are on, you have to drop the entire path in there. And then do upgrade. And it's a shame that it had to come to this, but I get it. Grandstream can't have people complaining because, the access points and network switches and routers are rebooting at times that they shouldn't. So everybody's a little guilty there. So anyway, firmware.grandstream.com. You can take a look at the beta firmwares. We're allowed to talk about beta stuff with Grandstream. They want us talking about what they've got going on. So great stuff coming in the UCM line, things like that. But back to our GWN7665. So the first thing that you're going to want to do to make sure that you're going to get the most out of this device is that you upgrade the firmware. And I've already done that. I have not changed the default password, so I've got my phone out in case we get logged out. Let's just do a quick overview. If you're familiar with Grandstream access points, this is going to look very familiar to you, except with the addition of the 6 gigahertz. The other thing that we've got to talk about is the beauty of the Grandstream access points is they can be their own controller. So this one, and they could all be standalone with no other management needed besides this web UI. You can use a single GWN7665 to manage 50 total access points. You can download GWN.manager, run it on your own hardware, put it on a VPS somewhere, or you can use GWN.cloud and manage basically unlimited devices. So you've got a lot of management options when it comes to the Grandstream access points. So let's take a look at this one. So GWN7665, it's the master because it's itself. Here's the IP address. Now over here you can see the channels, the channel width, and the power. So right now I only have the 6 gigahertz configured. We're on 21. We're running 160 megahertz width, and it's pumping out at 22 dBm. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put a 5 gigahertz and a 2.4 so we can do some testing real quick. But we can come down here. We can do the configuration here. We can use radio settings for this. I've got 2.4 and 5 disabled. I'm going to go ahead and let those be enabled. We'll go ahead and apply that. If you're not familiar with the Grandstream access points, they do have the option to configure QoS. Anytime that we're going to do voice over Wi-Fi, Grandstream APs are our go-to. Who knows voice better than Grandstream? Pretty much nobody. So that's where we're at with voice over with Wi-Fi. And we've been installing a lot of these. The one thing that we hear about the Grandstream access points is once you put them in and you upgrade the firmware, they're just stable, they just work, and there's no issues. So let me know down in the comments if you're running Grandstream APs, what you think versus some of the other brands. So we're going to let this get reloaded real quick. Looks like it's trying to reload the network section. And once that happens, we'll go ahead and get the SSID configured for the other two. And then we're going to use, like I said, we'll use the phone to do some speed tests. So we'll go to SSIDs. Right here, you can see that this is the Wi-Fi 6E. That is the name of the network. It's not on the, shouldn't be on all of our bands. So I'm going to drop this one down to 6 gigahertz only. Now we're going to add just a Wi-Fi 6, and we'll do -5 or Wi-Fi 6-5. We'll enable it. This will be the 5 gigahertz only, and we're going to do let me in 1, 2, 3. And I don't think we're going to do anything else. We're just going to kind of leave this. Oh yeah, down here, look, this is that enable voice enterprise. So it automatically sets the quality of service for voice. All right, we're going to do this one. We're going to do Wi-Fi 6-2. We will enable it. We'll do let me in. Let me in 1, 2, 3. And I don't think we need to do anything else. We'll go ahead and apply these. So now we're going to have 3 SSIDs that we're going to do some testing on. And then at some point here, I guess I'll show you the official spec guide on this. In fact, while this thing is reloading, I'll pause this, I'll pull up the spec guide, and then we'll have it. I'll be right back. All right, I got that spec sheet pulled up, so once we get done doing our speed test, we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So this interface should look extremely familiar. And real quick, I'm not going to mess with the 2.4 gigahertz because, you know, I want to be a good neighbor, so we're not going to mess with that. For the 5 gigahertz, though, we are going to bump that bad boy up to 160. We're already 160 there. We'll go ahead and apply. The 5 gigahertz and the 6 gigahertz, there's a lot more forgiveness there. And I guarantee you none of my neighbors are running 6 gigahertz stuff. All right, so we've got these all configured. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over here on my phone, and we're going to go 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz. So I just got to pull these up. Takes a second to refresh here. And it's refreshing. Okay, one thing, and you don't want to forget to do this on your SSIDs, which I forgot to do, so now we're going to go back and I'm going to show you what I forgot. When I set those SSIDs up, I forgot to do the device membership. So you're just going to have, don't forget to do that. That's my slip. So now we're going to go ahead and save this and apply it, and then we're going to run our speed test. So stand by. So while that's reloading, the access point is about 25 feet from where I'm sitting. It is pointed, it's flipped up, so it's, you know, like I had it mounted on a wall. But I have totes full of cabling and all kinds of metal stuff. I've got cardboard boxes. I got some clothes hanging in a closet that are also in between us. So we'll see how much that really affects the speed here shortly. Also, while we're waiting for this, does anybody have a real slam dunk way of capturing the speed, the screen on this Android and displaying it on here so I can capture it and we don't have to just keep holding the phone up? Because that's what I'm going to do while we do this. So if you've got suggestions for that, let me know down in the comments. This is almost done reloading, and then we are going to start our speed tests. All right, so that's done. And you can see here I'm on the client's page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, once I'm connected, we'll take a look at the link rate, you know, what we're physically connected at, and then we will take a look at the speed test. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to the 2 gigahertz. And a lot of people ask me, like, why do you have your own in-house speed test server? Why don't you just use an iPerf? Well, while iPerf is cool for geeky folks like us and people that want to see those kinds of numbers, it's not always. I would say that the majority of consumers who are going to be looking at this for speed test are probably iPerf. They don't want to see. They want to see, you know, like a regular speed test. Okay, so I am connected, but we're not populated yet in the client section for some reason. So we'll take a look at that here in just a second. We'll see. Maybe we found a bug. But I am connected. I'm connected, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up the speed test on my phone. So you can see, okay, now you're seeing it popped up, and I wonder if I had to generate some traffic or something. So you can see we are at negative 68 on our signal level. We're on our Wi-Fi 6-2. except, let's see here. We should be on the 2.4 gigahertz. I've got a configuration wrong on here. Let's see if I can see what I did wrong. Aha, I left the Wi-Fi 2 as Triband. Y'all were supposed to warn me when I was doing that I forgot that. Isn't this awesome that you're getting to see this uncut? And I make mistakes, but most of the time what happens is I correct those mistakes before they get out. Everybody makes mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. So we're going to let this reload, and then we'll reconnect, and we'll try this again. All right, now you can see I have the SSIDs sorted. That was my slip. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to reconnect that to the 2, which is what I'm doing right now, connected. And so now let me bring up the speed test, and we'll see what happens when I get connected here. So we're going to go ahead and run this test, and I'm going to go ahead and start it. And I'm not looking at it here at the moment. You are seeing it, and I will make comments about it as soon as the test is done. I can see that the test is running, and we'll see what happens here. All right, looks like the test is complete. So on the 2.4 gigahertz only, at a 20 megahertz width, which I don't like on the 2.4 gigahertz, that's where I like to run. We got 105.15 megabits per second down and 96.51 upload. We had a 4.9 millisecond ping to the server and 5.25 milliseconds of jitter. And you can see right here that we are connected at a receive of 172 megabits and a transmit of 103 megabits. So we're getting the lion's share of our transmit and receive. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to connect to the 5 gigahertz. And we're going to run this test again. So Wi-Fi 6-5. And I'm connected, obtaining IP address, checking for internet access. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take for this to refresh. So this still shows me at the 2.4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to redo the speed test. We'll bring it up full screen again. So here we got a pretty much clean slate. So I'm going to hit start, and we're going to run this. Now, remember, this is Wi-Fi 6. This is 5 gigahertz. And as soon as the screen over here refreshes and shows me my connection for the 5 gigahertz, I will give you that information. But it looks like our test is done. And our download on the 5 gigahertz was 782.23 megabits per second. And our upload was 616.06 with 2 milliseconds of jitter and a 6 millisecond ping. And if you take a look at this, now you can see that our receive is 1361 megabits per second, and our transmit is 1080. And so we're at almost about half. We could just, I think, easily say that. All right, so now our last test is we're going to switch over to our 6 gigahertz. And that one is just called Wi-Fi 6E. So we're going to go ahead and connect to that. And we are connected, I believe. Yep. Now remember what I said about, this is on the other side of a wall. There's a closet with stuff in it. And so we'll see what happens. I'm going to refresh it. You can see we've got a blank. Oh, look how quick this updated real quick. So now you can see what our receive and our transmit chains are here. So I can go get a little bit closer to this device after we do this, and I can show you what it is. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit start, and I'm going to get you refocused here, and we'll take a look at what our download and our upload is going to be. So I can't, of course, I'm looking at this a little backwards, but we'll see what happens. So we got 1065 megabits down, 663.81 up. So if I go in the other room and run this without all of the obstructions, I should get a better test. Hold, please. All right, so I was about 5 feet from the access point. My download was 1305.52. My upload was 1115.98. You can take a look at that there. Pretty darn good speeds. Now, of course, this is a single client. It is 2x2, but here's the thing, right, that we've got to talk about. Is yes, I know everyone is excited about Wi-Fi 7, but Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E haven't really caught on yet. I'm sure Grandstream is going to have a Wi-Fi 7 access point. The real big thing that I'm excited about with Wi-Fi 7 is MLO, where we actually aggregate all the bands together. But as you're starting to look at upgrading your infrastructure with 2.5 gig switches or multi-gig switches, because most of them can do 2.5, 5, possibly 10. You know, Wi-Fi 6E, I think, has to have a wider adoption first. Wi-Fi 6, we're seeing a lot of Wi-Fi 6, but we start looking at, you know, that 6 gigahertz band and stuff like that. You've got to have wider adoption. So I think it makes sense to go 6, 6E, then 7. Hell, they're already talking about 8. I don't even know what that's about. All right, so let's hop over here, and we'll take a look at the official spec sheet. So, of course, you know, they say that you can do 5.4 gigabits aggregate wireless throughput. Now, notice they do not say aggregate 3.5 gigabit wireline ports. They just say that they have a total, not an aggregate, a total of 3.5 gig, because you've got a 2.5 gig and a 1 gig port. It is Triband 2x2x2, up to 175 meter coverage, 384 concurrent Wi-Fi clients, and this access point, I actually believe that. Advanced QoS for real-time performance of low latency applications. We saw that with the enterprise voice. Self-power adaptation upon detection of PoE or PoE+. Like I said, we can manage 50 APs with a single AP, or we can use GWN Manager or GWN.cloud. The antennas, there are, you've got 2 on the 2.4 gigahertz, 2 on the 5 gigahertz, 2 on the 6 gigahertz, and then there's also Bluetooth built in. Grandstream is going to have some things coming with location services, which I'm actually super excited about. Got all the standard data rates, all the standard bandwidth, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So SSIDs, you can do 16 per radio. I don't recommend that, but that gives you 48 SSIDs on a single access point. I don't recommend that. I recommend doing radius controlled VLANs. If you're gonna have, I mean, they could get crazy, right? And in every SSID you have, your access point takes a little bit of a performance hit. It does have a Kensington lock. I missed that. It does support, you know, QoS, VLANs, all of those fantastic things. Max power consumption, 22.55 watts. And I mean, that's it. You saw it here in action. I'm really happy with this access point. It makes a great complement. Grandstream has 2.5 gig switches coming out. And the thing is, with the Grandstream line of network gear, it does just work. And that's the thing we hear about the access points, is they just work. So anytime we do voice or video or things like that, and that's what we're concentrating on, we always go with Grandstream, because they do actually show you right in the UI and give you the option to do QoS. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share, follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links, a Patreon link. Come on over to the community, community.willyhow.com, sign up, join the conversation. And if you need IT consulting, you want to talk about overhauling your wireless network, you want to talk about voice, storage, security, all those things, head on over to willyhow.com. Fill out the contact form that's right there on the front page, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here. I hope you're as excited about this access point as I am. As always, I'll see you in the next video.